teachers and staff directly involved in the visioning and strategic processes for this digital transformation? So how do you involve teachers as stakeholders in technology integration? Because if teachers are not part of this technology integration, they don't see that vision like the principal or the management, it's very difficult to have the buy-in. And mind you, a lot of work, the administrative work eases not only for the principal but for the teachers also with the use of technology. So this question, Ms. Avnita, is to you as to are teachers and staff directly involved in the visioning and strategic processes? How are your teachers involved as stakeholders?
Yeah, so I think teachers, and I've always maintained this, that the biggest threat to teaching as a profession was the threat of complacency. Because the teacher always felt that whatever is in the textbook, and if I know it all, and I can anytime walk into class, and I don't really have to really work really hard. And so technology changed that, and that is why teachers initially had this fear of technology. Not so much that they would replace them, but more that it was a comfort. They were in a comfort zone, a complacency that sets into any teacher, and to step out of that comfort zone and move into something which is unknown, the fear of the unknown. So that fear was there, and I remember in the year 2003 when I joined, and I also was not, I mean, we all learned to work with computers. And I remember the first time I actually got my hands dirty. I sat on the computer, I learned Microsoft Word and Excel and all of that, and I took a session with the teachers, and on just basically using the computer, that's all. And that is when our management actually, introduced, they had, initially they had televisions in every classroom connected to a computer. And so the teachers had to learn to make PPTs at that time, okay, PowerPoint presentations. And many of them were fearful. I do remember an incident where there was a Hindi teacher who had a laptop. So every teacher had a laptop now. And they had to work on it, and she didn't know how to move the mouse. That was when, it was a time when the senior children were on, a break. And they sat with the teachers, and they told them how to use the mouse and use the laptop. And I think the bond that got created, where there was a role reversal, the teacher became the student and vice versa. And that bond, I think, took the fear away from the teachers. And they were not, and also to create a culture of fearlessness. I think that's very important. There was fear, what if I make a mistake? What if I type something and the whole thing goes off? Things like that. And I have gone through it myself. So I think walking the talk, getting teachers to get their hands dirty and tell them it's fine if you make a mistake, but this is how we're going to learn. Because unless technology is something, till you get your hands dirty, till you start to do it, you can't learn it from a lecture. You have to sit on the machine and you have to learn it. And I think that is how we got the teachers on board. And in the year 2010, when we introduced the Google apps, I remember the teachers sitting down, and I said, the first thing we said, let's open Google Calendar and let's start to put down what are we doing our whole routine on the calendar. And then we are going to share the calendar with each other. And when the teachers did that, the sense of accomplishment and the sense of pride that the teachers felt. Because you see, that was a time our generation felt that if we learn technology, people will take us more seriously. When we go back home, we can show off that we've learned something. I mean, it's not just the children knowing it, our children, they know it, but now we also know something. And I feel that teachers always, they need to value the work they are doing. They need to take pride in the work they are doing. And when they do that, then there's no looking back. And that is what happened with us. So teachers came on board in that way. And when teachers came on board, and I said, all our work moved to Google Apps, and all our communication with parents. We are a school which runs in 2 shifts. We are a school which is so constrained of space. And I always say this, that when I moved to Mumbai, the city of Mumbai and technology are the 2 things which actually empowered me. The more constraints we faced, The more challenges we faced, the more creative we became in finding solutions to our problems. We became better problem solvers. Okay? So when CCE was introduced, we said we have to find a solution. We found Google Apps. Okay? So every time we found a problem, we found a solution, and we've become a better problem solver. And that is what we have to teach our children. So when communication moved to technology, through technology, parents also came on board. How do you get parents? And I really agree with, appreciate what you said about, word of mouth. I'm a teacher. Parents are our best ambassadors. I think, and trust and accessibility and transparency are key, and technology helps us to do that. I think the other thing is that, I felt that, every Indian parent in a country which is so competitive because of our large numbers, at the end of the day, they want to see their children reaching their potential academically. They want to see their marks. So we have to recognize that whatever we do, no matter how creative we are in whatever extracurricular activities or the methodology that we use in the classroom, the pedagogy, all that is fine. At the end of the year, at the end of class 12 or class 10, they want to see their child excelling, okay? Because they have to then move on to a college and all of that. So we built trust in our parents. And once we built that trust in our parents, then they allowed us to be more experimental and trying new ideas. And I think that is how you get stakeholders. You have to handhold them, you have to help them to build the trust in you, and you have to be transparent and accessible at all times.
Thank you. I think what ma'am said is transparency, build trust, and also take those little baby steps together. I think that's really key. At some times we kind of, when we say that we also don't know something, then there's a lot of empathy that kind of builds in. So we grow together, and that's exactly what's the journey for technology for all of us. Like, for example, ma'am said about Google Docs and taking it together. Now there's something like, I don't know how many of you have technology for making your timetables. I mean, I think that can be done easily. But if you've been a diploma, the IB diploma program coordinator, and that's something I did a few years ago, the shoes of a DPC, and students had to take 6 subjects, and they would take it from different groups, okay? And group 1 cannot clash with group 2 cannot clash, and trust me, I would spend maybe about 15 days putting the timetable together, and everything manually, okay? And then the app came in and everything, and they said, it can be all done, okay? 1 घंटे में आप कर सकते हो, madam. इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है, okay? One student comes with a change that, miss, I don't want to do this subject. This is difficult. Can you shift me to this subject? Your app or your platform goes completely for a toss, okay? So if ChatGPT has come in for students to write essays, why can't we use technology to build our timetables? Why don't we challenge? Why don't we swim in that wave and use it and build and take all our stakeholders along? So that's a great example. Thank you, ma'am, for giving that. So on this note,